Washington, D.C., 2022. The luxury car showroom of Capital Elite Motors gleamed with polished marble and million-dollar vehicles. Grant Brooks, the 35-year-old CEO, stood hidden in the security office watching live camera feeds, conducting his regular surprise inspection. On the main floor, a black woman in a janitor's uniform, Sierra Williams, quietly mopped near a red Ferrari. 3 children huddled beside her, 2 boys and a girl, all around 8 years old, wearing matching worn jackets. Suddenly, the oldest boy, Marcus, reached out to touch the Ferrari's hood. "Get your filthy hands off that car!" The manager, Patricia Klein, stormed toward them, her designer heels clicking sharply. "I already told you, poor children like you shouldn't be dirtying my showroom." Sierra pulled her children close. "Please, Miss Klein. My babysitter canceled. I had no choice. Take your kids and get out. Now." In the security office, Grant's hands clenched the desk edge as he watched his ex-girlfriend, the woman he'd abandoned 9 years ago, and 3 children with his distinctive amber eyes being publicly humiliated. If you've ever watched someone you love be treated as less than human because of money, what happens next will shake you. Tell us where you're watching from. Grant stood abruptly, his decision made. 9 years before, Grant Brooks had been a struggling business student at Georgetown University, dating Sierra Williams, a nursing major with dreams of changing the world. They were inseparable, planning a future together despite his wealthy family's disapproval. "She's not one of us," Grant's mother had said coldly. "End it, or you're cut off completely." 26 and terrified of poverty, Grant chose money. He broke up with Sierra via text, blocked her number, and flew to California for his trust fund-financed MBA. What he never knew, Sierra discovered she was pregnant 1 week after he left, with triplets. She tried calling from different numbers, sent emails, even showed up at his family's estate. His mother's security turned her away each time, threatening harassment charges. "Your son has a right to know," Sierra had pleaded. "My son has no interest in your problems," his mother had replied, closing the door forever. Sierra raised Marcus, Mason, and Maya alone, working 3 jobs, moving to cheaper apartments, building a life from nothing. Until tonight, when Grant finally saw what his cowardice had cost. Grant burst through the showroom doors, his expensive suit and commanding presence silencing everyone instantly. Patricia's anger transformed into a nervous smile. "Mr. Brooks, we weren't expecting you until—" "Explain." Grant's voice was ice cold. "Explain why you just told children they're too poor to exist in my showroom." Patricia's smile faltered. "Sir, company policy states—" "Company policy?" Grant walked past her directly to where Sierra stood frozen, her arms around 3 terrified children. "Since when is discrimination company policy?" He knelt before the triplets, his heart hammering as he studied their faces up close. Marcus had his jawline. Mason had his nose. Maya had his exact eyes. Amber with gold flecks. 9 years. He'd missed 9 years. "Hi," he said gently. "I'm Grant. What are your names?" Marcus, the protector, stepped forward. "Why did that lady yell at our mom?" "Because she forgot that respect costs nothing," Grant replied, standing. He turned to Patricia. "You're fired. Effective immediately." Patricia gasped. "Mr. Brooks, surely—" "Security will escort you out." But as Patricia left, Sierra grabbed Grant's arm, her voice low and urgent. "We need to talk," Sierra whispered. "Privately." Grant nodded, his mind racing. He led Sierra to his private office while his assistant arranged for the children to wait in the employee lounge with tablets and snacks. Inside the office, Sierra stood by the window, her back to him. 9 years of exhaustion lined her shoulders. "They're mine, aren't they?" Grant asked quietly. "Yes." Sierra's voice broke. I tried to tell you. For months, I tried. My mother... I know. Sierra turned, tears streaming. Your mother made it clear. You didn't want us. You'd moved on. Grant sank into his chair. I never knew. I swear, Sierra, I never knew. Would it have mattered? Sierra asked bitterly. You chose money over me. Would children have changed that? Before Grant could answer, his office door burst open. His board member, Richard Westfield, entered with a smirk. Grant, we need to discuss tonight's emergency board meeting. Some members have concerns about your recent behavior. Richard's eyes flicked to Sierra dismissively. And your choice of company. Grant's jaw tightened. Get out. The board is voting on your leadership tonight. I'd suggest you attend. Richard left, but his threat lingered. After Richard left, Sierra collapsed into a chair. What did he mean, voting on your leadership? My board's been looking for reasons to remove me, Grant admitted. I've been pushing for ethical reforms they don't like. This situation gives them ammunition. Sierra looked up sharply. This situation? You mean your secret children being exposed? I mean discovering I have children I never knew existed. Grant leaned forward. Sierra, I know I have no right to ask, but I need to know everything. How did you manage? Where have you been? How are they? For 2 hours, Sierra told her story. The 3 jobs, the tiny apartments, Marcus's intelligence, Mason's kindness, Maya's fierce spirit, how she'd worked her way from janitor to nursing school to finally landing a night cleaning position that paid enough to consider better options. They ask about you sometimes, Sierra said quietly. I told them their father didn't know they existed. I never wanted them to think you abandoned them intentionally. Grant felt tears building. Thank you for protecting me when I didn't deserve it. I did it for them, not you. If you've ever carried a burden alone that should have been shared, if you've ever protected someone who hurt you for the sake of innocent hearts, staying with us now means everything. Tell us where you're watching from. Sierra's phone buzzed. She checked it and her face went pale. What's wrong? Grant asked immediately. Sierra showed him the text from an unknown number. Your children are proof of Mr. Brooks's poor judgment. The board will use them to remove him. Leave now, or they'll destroy all of you. Grant's face hardened. Richard, he's threatening my children to control me. I should go. Sierra stood quickly. I never wanted to cause problems. No. Grant blocked the door. Running won't protect them. It never does. He pulled out his phone. My lawyer needs to know about this threat. And Sierra, I want to meet them properly, as their father. Grant, they're 8. They don't know you. You can't just... I know. I'm not demanding anything. I'm asking. His voice softened. Please, let me try to be what I should have been 9 years ago. Before Sierra could answer, the building's fire alarm screamed to life. Grant pulled up the security cameras on his computer. Smoke in the basement, he said grimly. Where the children are. They ran from the office, down 3 flights of stairs, through filling smoke. Grant reached the employee lounge first, finding it empty except for overturned chairs and scattered tablets. Marcus! Mason! Maya! Sierra's scream echoed. Grant grabbed Sierra's arm. The emergency exit. They must have gone that way. They found the triplets huddled in the parking garage, coughing but safe. Marcus had his arms around his younger siblings protectively. We smelled smoke, Marcus explained to his mother. I remembered what you taught us about fire safety. Sierra hugged all 3 children tightly while Grant watched, his heart breaking at being an outsider to this family he should have known. Fire trucks arrived. The fire was small, deliberately set in a trash bin. A warning, not an accident. As firefighters cleared the building, Grant approached the children carefully. "Are you three okay?" Maya, the bold one, studied him. "You're the man who fired the mean lady." "Yes." "Are you rich?" she asked directly. "Maya," Sierra scolded, but Grant laughed. "Yes, I am. Does that matter?" "Mom says money doesn't make you good or bad," Maya replied. "Actions do." "Your mom is very wise." Marcus stepped forward, his 8-year-old face serious. "Why are you being nice to us?" Grant looked at Sierra, asking permission with his eyes. She hesitated, then nodded slightly. "Because," Grant said carefully, "I think we're family." 2 hours later, Grant stood before his board in the emergency meeting Richard had called. But this time, he wasn't alone. Sierra sat in the front row, the triplets beside her, all cleaned up and looking determined. "Gentlemen," Grant began, "I understand you have concerns about my leadership." Richard smirked. "Recent events have shown poor judgment." "Recent events," Grant interrupted, "have shown that I'm a father. 9 years ago, I made a terrible decision. I walked away from someone I loved because my family prioritized money over character. The result was 3 children I never knew existed until tonight." He gestured to the triplets, Marcus, Mason, and Maya, my children, raised by an incredible woman who worked 3 jobs to give them everything I should have helped provide. Board members shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't the scandal Richard had promised. "I'm not asking for sympathy," Grant continued. "I'm stating facts. I failed as a man 9 years ago, but I won't fail as a CEO or a father now. If you want to remove me for discovering my family and choosing to be part of their lives, vote. But know that I'll fight for this company and these children with everything I have." Richard stood. "This is emotional manipulation." "This is truth," Grant shot back. "Something you've always struggled with." The vote was called. Grant won by a single vote. After the board meeting, Grant drove Sierra and the children to their small apartment in Southeast D.C. The contrast between his luxury car and their modest building was stark. "You don't have to do this," Sierra said as he parked. "I want to see where they live, where you've been all these years." Inside the tiny 2-bedroom apartment, Grant saw the reality of what Sierra had built. Second-hand furniture arranged with care, the children's artwork covering walls, 3 small beds crammed into 1 bedroom, a life constructed from necessity and love. "It's not much," Sierra started, but Grant shook his head. "It's everything. You created a home, a family, with nothing. I built an empire with every advantage." He looked around. "Your accomplishment is greater." Marcus tugged Grant's sleeve. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Are you going to leave again?" The question stopped Grant cold. "No, never again." "You promise?" "I promise. I'll be here as much as your mom allows. I'll learn about you, and you can learn about me. We'll figure this out together." Maya spoke up. "Do we call you Dad?" Grant looked at Sierra, who was crying quietly. "You can call me whatever feels right. Grant is fine. Dad would be. That would be an honor I'd have to earn." That night, after Sierra put the exhausted children to bed, she and Grant sat in the small living room. "What happens now?" Sierra asked. "You have a company to run, a life I'm not part of." "I want you to be part of it," Grant said. "All of you. Not because of obligation, because I never stopped loving you, Sierra. I was too much of a coward to fight for us then. I won't make that mistake twice." "Grant, it's been 9 years." "I know. I'm not asking you to marry me tomorrow or even forgive me. I'm asking for a chance to be the man I should have been, for them and for you." Sierra was quiet for a long moment. "They deserve to know their father. But this will be complicated." "I know. We'll figure it out together." Grant pulled out a small piece of paper. I've already talked to my lawyer. I'm setting up trust funds for each of them. College, housing, whatever they need. Grant, we don't want your money. I know, but they deserve opportunities I can provide. You've given them love and character. Let me give them security. 6 months later, Capital Elite Motors had undergone a transformation. Sierra now worked in the company's new community outreach program, helping other single parents access resources and opportunities. The showroom hosted monthly events for underprivileged children to explore luxury vehicles without judgment. Marcus, Mason, and Maya visited their father's office every weekend, learning about the business while Grant learned about being a parent. On their 9th birthday, Grant gave each child a framed photo. One side showed Sierra working night shifts while pregnant. The other showed the family together now. Never forget, Grant told them, that your mother's strength built this family. I'm just lucky she let me join it. If this story reminded you that it's never too late to do the right thing, that children deserve truth over comfort, and that real wealth is measured in presence, not presence, carry that forward. These stories matter because your witness matters. One last time, tell us where you're watching from, because every voice here says that accountability, love, and second chances are worth fighting for.